and welcome to week 2 of Global Business Environment. I'm Syeda, and I'm going to take you through how capitalism have evolved from traditional model to where companies sell products and services to a modern era now where data has become the most valuable commodity. So we will also look into what it means in terms of business, consumer, and society, and we will explore both the opportunities as well as the ethical challenges that comes with it. So by the end of the session, you should be able to understand some of the key principles of traditional capitalism and explain the surveillance of capitalism and its fundamental difference from traditional capitalism, identify the impacts of surveillance capitalism on both businesses as well as consumer, and we will discuss some potential benefits and risk of surveillance capitalism in terms of society as a whole, and reflect on the importance of data privacy and the rules and regulation in terms of shaping the future digital market. In terms of understanding the traditional capitalism, let's begin with traditional capitalism. So in this system, the market was built around a simple exchange. Business produced goods and services, and consumer paid money for them. So profit came from like selling tangible products that might met the consumer needs. For example, like a car factory producing vehicles, it can be like a bakery that sold bread or bank that provide financial services. So this relationship between the buyer and seller was more direct, visible, and relatively transparent. So if you look into the role of organization in traditional capitalism, so in traditional capitalism, usually organization focus on making production more efficient and expanding their market reach. And their main goal was also to increase sales as well as maximize profit by improving how they met the consumer demand. And great example would be for Henry Ford, right? Who's revolutionized the car in manufacturing through mass production. So by streamlining the assembly line, Ford had made cars affordable to the middle class families, and a perfect illustration of how efficiency was the key in terms of success in that particular era. So if you look into consumer behavior in traditional capitalism, from the consumer side, decisions were more guided by factors like price, quality, and brand reputation. So consumers compare products and make choices that best suits their needs and budgets. So for example, someone might choose Tesco over Sainsbury because of lower price or better customer service. So in this way, consumers were active decision makers, and companies had to compete transparently for their attention. If you look into the transformation over the history from agricultural revolution, where it was having more stable food supply, to population growth and settled communities, to industrialized revolution, where there was more of mass production, social and economic changes, and there was a lot of urbanization, to now what we are at, the information age, where there is global connectivity. Social media plays a vital role. Artificial intelligence is emerging, and there has been a rise in e-commerce as well. And it is often said now that the data is becoming the new oil to the world. So if you look at the shift towards the surveillance of capitalism, so where is this data coming from. With the rise of the internet or even smartphone phone and social media, companies realized that data itself could be monetized. And this gave birth to a new form of capitalism, which is the surveillance capitalism. So in this model, organization usually collects and analyze personal data to predict and even influence behavior. For instance, like social media platforms like Facebook or TikTok, they track what we click on, what we watch, or also share to serve us highly personalized advertisement. So if you look into the business model of surveillance capitalism, so this business model behind the surveillance capitalism is fundamentally different. Companies no longer rely solely just on selling physical goods. Instead, they offer free or even low-cost data services. So this will be collecting massive amount of user data in return. Think about like Google or Facebook, for example. Their platform are free to us, but every search, like, comment, feed into data system that advertisers pay to access. Even companies like Tesla, as much data companies as they are car manufacturers. So they collect real-time driving data to enhance performance and develop new technologies. Moving to consumer behavior surveillance capitalism. So consumer, meanwhile, have become both the product as well as the producer of value. So every online activity, from browsing to posting, generating data that companies use to shape our experiences and choice. You have probably experienced this yourself. So you search for a pair of shoes online, or suddenly every ad that you see on Instagram or YouTube will feature the same product. So that surveillance capitalism is at work. And it is also influencing in subtle and personalized way. If you look into the positive effect of surveillance capitalism, of course, it has a lot of negative as well, because not all of it are negative. There are certain positive aspects to it as well. Surveillance capitalism also offer many benefits, like it allows for personalization, convenience, and efficiency in everyday life. So for example, like in Netflix, when you see a show, your viewing history is being saved, and you are shown recommendation based on your viewing history. Right. Similarly, Amazon also suggests products that you might actually want to buy. So these systems save a lot of time, makes experience more relevant, and create like a sense of ease for the user. From a business perspective, like this level of personalization also strengthen the consumer loyalty. As I said earlier as well, that there are certain downsides to it as well. Surveillance capitalism raises ethical concern around privacy, consent, and manipulation. So users rarely know the full extent of how much data is collected about them or how it's used to influence their behavior. So one of the most famous example was the Cambridge Analytical scandal, where Facebook data was used to target like political advertisement and potentially influence election outcome. So this showed like how personal information can be exploited for profit or power, often without a user knowing about it. If you look into the impact it has to the business, um, It offers competitive edge throughout the power data analysis, definitely, but it also helps companies understand customers better, tailor more marketing strategy, and improve sales performance. However, this practice comes with reputational as well as ethical risk as well. For example, like some e-commerce platform adjust price dynamically based on browser history or device type. Meanwhile, two people might pay different prices for the same product. So this raises concern about transparency and fairness in digital business. If you look into the impact it has on consumers, it is the experience that feels more seamless and convenient, but it comes at cost of privacy. So many users don't even realize how much personal data they are trading away for that convenience. So this is why regulations like GDPR or were introduced in Europe, and this gives user more control over their data by requiring companies to get consent before collecting or processing personal information. So it steps towards a greater digital accountability, but also challenges remain as technology continues to evolve. This bring towards the very end of the session. If I want to summarize, we have looked into traditional capitalism, which focuses on producing and selling goods through more clear and transparent transaction. We have looked into the surveillance capitalism, on the other hand, as well, like how data into the primary commodity has turned out, where values are extracted from our behavior, often without explicit consent. So businesses definitely gain powerful insight and new revenue opportunities, but they also face like increasing ethical and legal security because consumer benefit from convenience and personalization, but often lose the autonomy and privacy in the process. And ultimately, this challenge is finding balance between innovation as well as protecting individual right. So this brings towards the end of the session. Thank you for listening.